Here's more wrestling news for February 14th, 2023. And we're starting off today with WWE2K23, which will release next month and feature a stacked roster of playable characters. As we've seen in the past, superstars cut by WWE close to a video game's release date often end up in the game before being removed in future updates. It was 2 months ago today that WWE released Mandy Rose, and according to Games Radar, WWE2K23 will not feature the former NXT Women's Champion. It's something of a shame, given that had she not been released, Rose would have been one of the highest rated female superstars given her lengthy reign as champion of the Gold brand. Mandy Rose impressed fans with her monumental title reign, which also saw her capture the NXT UK Women's Championship, but anyone wanting to play as her will have to make do with a fan-created character. The game's roster was revealed this week, and while there are obvious names like Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Seth Rollins included, others are notable by their absence. Bray Wyatt made his epic return to WWE last October at the conclusion of Extreme Rules and competed against LA Knight at the Royal Rumble, but he will not be part of the game's initial roster at launch. Given that Wyatt isn't in this game, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Uncle Howdy isn't in the game either, but Hit Row are another notable absence when the game drops on March 14th. Despite being back with WWE since August, and many fans feel 2K has had more than enough time to make it in an update. Candice LeRae is also not in the game despite returning some time ago, and her husband Johnny Gargano also does not appear on 2K23's roster. Bronson Reed also did not return in time to make it into the game, but one of the most notable absences is Naomi, whose future with WWE remains unclear after she walked out of Raw in May alongside Mercedes Moné. Perhaps this is a sign that Naomi's time with WWE is indeed up. And what do you think to these absences from the 2K23 roster? Let us know in the comments. Now, WrestleMania 39 is just 46 days away, and the wrestling world's attention is on Cody Rhodes and his vow to dethrone Roman Reigns. The story of Cody leaving WWE in 2016, making a huge name for himself outside the company, only to return, has been an epic tale. But one superstar isn't the biggest fan. Well, speaking to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling Stu Myrick at Super Bowl 57, Seth Rollins was asked about Rhodes headlining WrestleMania against Reigns and was asked whether Cody will dethrone the Tribal Chief. I don't know the answer to that question, man. It's very hard for me to look at that match unbiased. I want that match, I want that spot, I want that title, and to not have it, there's a lot of salt in the wound of having to talk about it. It's difficult for me to analyze. I will say you're looking at a rock and a hard place. You've got Roman Reigns, who's on an incredible run, but you've got Cody Rhodes, who's riding a lot of momentum. When those two guys meet, if that is the match, it could be Sami Zayn in that spot. We'll see after Elimination Chamber. It's going to be a generational main event of WrestleMania. Again, it's hard for me to feel anything but slighted by it, so that is what it is. Interestingly, WWE once reportedly had plans for Rollins to be part of a world title match at WrestleMania 39, but that was back when WWE had plans for The Rock to face his cousin on Night 2. Rollins was asked about who he will be facing at WrestleMania 39 and said, "We'll see, time will tell, we will see which options present themselves, we gotta get to Chamber first. If I'm the United States Champion, I'm gonna have a lot of people gunning for me." Instead of Reigns or Rhodes, Rollins is reportedly locked in to face Logan Paul this April, a high-profile match and one that will receive a ton of media coverage for sure, but not the one the Architect wants. What do you think of this? Would you rather have Rollins competing for the world title at WrestleMania? Let us know in the comments. As anyone who has worked with him will attest, Vince McMahon is someone whose mind can change on a dime. Someone who was once considered the next Undertaker can be sent a pink slip just days later. Just ask Hade Vanson, and McMahon had even more control during the COVID-19 pandemic. With no live crowds, WWE were able to spend more time perfecting their matches, and when speaking on his Wrestling for the Faith podcast, Jackson Riker recalled a match going for 90 minutes because of the chairman. We were literally acting for the TV screen during the Performance Center period at that time because that was way before the TV screens were around the arena. Vince McMahon at that time would be sitting in the truck of the gorilla position, and if something would go wrong or a move would botch or something like that, "Stop the match, you guys set it back up." It was so wild, man, because it took you out of the zone. Bro, it was a match I remember. I can't remember who it was, but it took them about an hour and a half to get this match down. It was only about a 10-minute match, and it wasn't because they were just completely destroying and terrible wrestlers. It was like, nope, alright, I don't like that, let's try it again. Thankfully, crowds are back, and McMahon is no longer in charge of WWE content production, as that role is now for his son-in-law, Triple H. McMahon has stayed away from WWE's TV side of things since his return, though many are skeptical that this will continue, but at least talent don't have to worry about doing the same match again and again for 90 minutes. Long before he joined AEW, Jake the Snake Roberts struck fear into the hearts of opponents with his cerebral style of promos. The master of the DDT was just as menacing in the ring, putting countless opponents away with his signature move, but one fan clearly felt that Jake had gone too far. While speaking with Derek's Reptiles, the WWE Hall of Famer shared a horrific story in Dallas, Texas, where he faced Sting, and a fan tried to end Roberts' life. Craziest one would have been in Dallas, Texas. I was wrestling Sting. A guy stood up in the 9th row, reached in his jacket. He pulled out a pistol and started shooting at me. He got 3 shots off, missed me. That's about as crazy as it gets. I jumped my ass out of that ring, got underneath the ring, and hid. Roberts is by no means the only wrestling veteran to have nearly lost their life at the hands of fans, as Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and Harley Race all danced with death over their characters in the ring. Jake Roberts recently spoke about how modern wrestling isn't the same as it was before, and certain traditions are going by the wayside, but these interactions with fans are definitely something that should be left in the past. Last month, Devon Dudley parted ways from WWE after spending years as a producer, and there was plenty of speculation about his sudden exit. Given that Devon had not been allowed at an ECW reunion show not long before his exit, many felt like this was the straw that broke the camel's back, but now we've heard from the man himself. Speaking to Wrestling News, Devon rejected that he left WWE on bad terms and flat out refuted the rumor that Triple H had threatened to fire him if he went to the ECW show. In fact, Devon said he can't begin to thank Triple H enough for all the WWE COO has done for him, and while Dudley didn't say why he left, we know it wasn't down to Triple H. Devon Dudley's time with WWE has come to an end, but the former wrestler/producer isn't counting out a return when the time is right. In that same interview, Devon disclosed that the door was open for him to return to WWE, and he would do so if Triple H wanted him back. More specifically, Devon told Triple H that if he was ever needed to help out in NXT, he'd be there for him, but right now, he just wants to spend more time with his family. Devon's years in the ring as a tag team specialist has been a huge asset for WWE, and while his time with the company has ended, we know to never count out a surprise return in the world of wrestling. Recently, it was reported that Trish Stratus will be making her return to WWE to compete in a 6-woman tag match at this weekend's Elimination Chamber show. Stratus didn't appear on last night's Raw as many predicted, though given a recent video shared by the 7-time women's champion, she may still be competing soon enough. On Instagram, Trish shared a video of herself working out, showing off her impressive back muscles among other things, and looked ready to step in the ring. Reports have suggested that Becky Lynch and Lita are said to be joining forces with Trish to take on Damage Control this weekend, and it's still possible that Trish could return on this Friday's SmackDown in Montreal's Bell Center, or even return after Elimination Chamber to set up a match at WrestleMania. Trish Stratus certainly looks impressive, and are you excited at the potential return of some Stratus faction? Let us know in the comments. At Survivor Series 2005, 2 months after being set ablaze in a casket by Randy Orton and his father, The Undertaker made his return to seek revenge on the father and son. The dead man's comeback was saved for the very end of the show, after Orton had become the sole survivor in the Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series match. And though all the attention was on them, one other superstar drew the ire of the Phenom. While speaking on the extreme life of Matt Hardy, the AEW star recalled how his actions on camera got him heat with The Undertaker. "We went out there, we did that, and I was planning on powdering out. But there was a part of me that was just so frustrated, and once again, it was my fault. I will be accountable for it. Just when Taker came out, I was like laying on the ropes, and I didn't react to him like I should have. Looking back, I was like, what a dumb move that was, and I was just like mad because I didn't get my spot once again, which was very dumb. It was a great lesson for me to learn. Like, if you're gonna do anything, go all in on it." Hardy added that his frustration was partly caused by not receiving a previously scheduled segment, which was changed following the death of Eddie Guerrero, who had initially been supposed to be at the show. Not long after the heat between The Undertaker and Hardy, it was all water under the bridge, but the dead man was far from pleased with the future Broken One in 2005. And we're ending today with Raw, as this week's show didn't stop when the cameras stopped filming, as US Champion Austin Theory met Seth Rollins in a non-title street fight after the show. The non-title match saw Rollins get the win, putting Theory through a table and then delivering the curb stomp, and Seth addressed the Brooklyn crowd and led them in some singing to end the night. Rollins and Theory will be two of the names in this Saturday's Elimination Chamber US title match, and between these two, Bronson Reed, Montez Ford, Damian Priest, and Johnny Gargano, who are you cheering for heading into Montreal?